Ooh. Ooh, I believe we're live. Hello.
Well, I can't follow that. Good evening.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
I am.
You
I'm
are?
rather
She
frazzled.
is? They are. Yes.
I is rather frazzled. It's been very busy, and
Been a busy bee.
I would like it to quieten down now. I'm getting to the point where I've had enough. I need more time for me.
It usually does after you, though, doesn't it? Quieten down a bit.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of sort of work and just running around doing mad things, it should be all right after next week. I think then that's my hope anyway.
Yeah, it kind of plateaus a bit, does it?
It drops off the edge of a cliff.
That's not quite so good.
I don't mind, I can bear it.
Yeah, exactly. Enough. Well, before we continue, let's say hello to some people that we've got in. We have 3 people in, and we're saying hello to Redwing, and we're saying hello to Lee, and to everybody else that is watching as well, including you. Hello. That's who they are. Hello. Oh dear. Did you have snow on Sunday?
No. We were on the edge of it, and I saw the radar, and basically it kind of crept over a bit and then didn't come right over. So literally, although we're not a million miles away as the crow flies, we didn't get it at all.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because I was on the motorway on Sunday, and it was quite interesting because at my neck of the woods it was, a bit sort of drizzly and a bit mizzly, but actually it wasn't doing anything. But the further around the M25 I went, the thicker the snowflakes were and the bigger the snowflakes were. So by the time I arrived, the snowflakes actually were quite big and they were settling. But it was lovely because when you stopped and stood still, you could hear them settling one on top of the other. Oh, it was lovely. You get that silence that comes with the snow. And you could just hear them almost crackling. It was like Frosties or Rice Krispies. You could almost hear them crackling, snap, crackle and pop. But you could hear them landing one on top of the other. And it was really magical. I love snow. I always get really excited and I'll rush about from window to window to see whether it's thicker in one window than another one.
I was hoping it was going to snow today because it looked like it, and it was almost cold enough, but not quite. It was still rain. Yeah. I get terribly excited at the prospect of snow. I'm a big kid, really, and
I know
it's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's about the only time I ever get me up out of bed without any resistance. To be fair, it's snowing. Okay. A single finger prod and just say it's snowing, and I'm up and out, and that's it.
Right, noted.
Yes. It's useful to know for future reference, isn't it? Yeah. Middle of June. Snow. Foiled again. Oh dear. No, I do. I love it. I think it's so beautiful. I really, really think it's magical. You've got that whole blanket of covering on it, and the way it sounds, and it's funny, isn't it? We've just got our one word for snow, and various snowy countries have got loads of different words for snow, and it's like, do it justice. Snow doesn't quite cut it.
We don't get enough of it. No, we don't get it. It's not a way of life here. We don't deal with snow, and if we get it, we don't deal with it very well.
Everyone goes, "Oh, it's snowing." Oh God, yeah.
Oh no, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is. It's lovely, and I love to see it on the trees and. I had a rainbow here today. That was lovely. Double rainbow. And do you know what I've never noticed until today, till I had it pointed out to me actually, was that it was a double rainbow, but you had like your normal rainbow, and then the sort of like the mirror one was literally a mirror image, so that the colours
were the other way around.
I didn't know that before.
It's just reflected. Yeah, because most rainbows do have one inside and one outside, but they can be incredibly faint. But because I know that they're likely to be there, I look for them. So generally, most rainbows are not a singular thing.
Do you know, I didn't see a rainbow until I was 17. And that's not because it's not because they didn't exist. It's because I couldn't see them. Because my vision was such that everything was really, really highly coloured. Like I saw auras, and still do, but saw auras and all that kind of thing. And I'd like to see individual colours. And so actually, I didn't see rainbows as such. I couldn't see them until I was 17. And it was quite embarrassing, really, because I was on a coach coming back from Southampton. I'd been visiting my brother, and I was on the coach coming back, and I was on the M3, and I suddenly spotted it. And I'm all on my own, 17, coming back. And I think I'm really it. And then suddenly I'm like, there's a rainbow! There's a rainbow, everybody! It was like,
yes.
having a bit of a meltdown. So, but that was the first time I can remember it so clearly. And, over the years, everyone was like, well, why can't you see it? And I'm like, well, what am I looking at? And I really thought they were a figment of people's imaginations because I couldn't see them. So, yeah.
Because there was so much else going on.
So much else going on. Yeah. Exactly.
I always
saw
saw
so
them
many colours. I just saw so many colours that I couldn't pick a rainbow out. And so, yeah. So 17 just proves that things dampen down as a teenager from a child, doesn't it?
And that you can change things as well if you want to see, you can. And also, if you're getting so much visual input, you probably have to, in order to cope with the world, you have to be able to kind of like dampen it down a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, Red Collector. Hope you're well today. Hello. So I do remember that. Anyway, so I was quite excited to see one today. Didn't signify where the proverbial pot of gold was, of course. Wasn't anywhere near the boot of my cart, just saying.
No, I have been practically at the end of a rainbow, because you can kind of tell there's a certain place lying between where the rain and the sun is, where you know that if someone was looking at it, you'd probably be at the end of it.
Do you know what? Years ago, I went took the kids camping. I was down where was I? Camber Sands, down that way. And as we were coming back, you could see literally see the end of the rainbow in the field. And in fact, it was so remarkable that there were other cars that were on the road that were literally just stopping dead to see. But what was really fascinating was that you could see there were sheep in the field where this rainbow ended. And the rainbow actually went over the sheep. So as you moved, obviously your perspective moved. So it went over various different sheep. And as the sheep were walking about, they too were rainbow coloured as they walked, like through the mirage of it.
Yeah, because the rainbow was in front of them, so the
rainbow was in front, so you saw them as coloured sheep behind. It was remarkable, and
cool.
And my son, who was about 7 or 8 at the time, was marvelling not only at the rainbow but the fact that there was various numbers and colours on the sheep. At which point he noted, "Isn't it naughty to draw on sheep?" And I said, "If it's you doing it, yes."
Absolutely.
Just like to point that out. Do not go and draw on
Get
sheep.
your sharpers out.
Exactly. Yes. Use paper like everybody else. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes. Hello, Mandy. Hope you're well today. So I've got a real fondness for rainbows, especially as they, were elusive to me as a kid. So So weather. So talking of weather, wasn't it flipping cold on Saturday drumming?
Yes. We lost the feeling in our chins.
I'm beginning to lose the will to live. I don't know about feeling in my chins, but I have this thing where I can't speak. I know most people go when that happens.
It's unusual.
Flags waving. I saw them. Shut up. But it comes out. I sound drunk actually because my chin literally freezes, and I sound as though I've been on the sauce.
It was brilliant though.
Chilly. It was fun though, wasn't it?
But to have such a small audience was a little bit of a shame.
It was a shame, wasn't it? I tell you what though, I really enjoyed being in the subway. Drumming in the subway with the acoustics in there was something
where else. I was stood because there was the bit and then it walked the tunnel, so I was really getting it coming back like echoey, which was kind of cool but slightly disconcerting.
It was strange, wasn't it? But it was brilliant. As I say, the acoustics were amazing down there. So
exactly. And what was weird, of course, and what threw me slightly was that when you're drumming in outside, they had the music going. It's like they could have turned the music off while we were drumming. Really?
Yeah, Radio
Susie. That was a bit distracting.
It was a bit, So that was Radio Susie, wasn't it? But it does mean that we were going out live on air as well because they'd have heard us too. So yes,
I hope so. Yes.
A bit bizarre, but there we go. So what magic have you been up to, if any, this week?
Well, I have to say this week has been a very, very mundane week. I simply keeping up with the household washing, feeding family, and organising self for Christmas. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, I have done my work at night when I've gone to bed, and the main crust of that really was doing some healing for a very good friend of mine, another friend who's got an issue.
Oh no!
With a gallbladder. But
Wow,
this
particular
particular
bit of a
friend,
theme at the moment, doesn't it?
exactly, this particular friend still has her gallbladder, and actually she probably should keep on to it. But we've had conversations, and in fact, what she's going to do is go down the healing route rather than just have them whip it out.
Oh, cool.
While it's okay, she's not going against medical advice as such, but she's going to try a few things first, and some kind of talking therapy and stuff that will perhaps help move on some of the body mind connection and stuff. So I'm doing sort of some work with her to kind of like facilitate that. Energy wise, and I think that it sounds like it's going to go quite well, so I'm really hoping.
Brilliant stuff. Well, if you want any help with that, let me know.
Absolutely. Well, I will see said lady again on Friday, and I always get an update and see
ask if she wants any additional input. So and obviously we're more than happy to oblige. So in answer to Lee's question, by the way, in the subway busking and busting too, to be honest. No, we weren't busking. Actually, we were specifically asked to perform at this event. It was a lights switch on ceremony. And we were specifically asked to perform. But in order to access where we were going, we had to traverse the subway, which linked one part of the town to another. And in the process of sort of getting from A to B, we sort of loitered with intent, basically, didn't we?
We had a bit of a practice.
It wasn't cold.
We had a bit of a practice before we went out to meet
let's try and warm us up too. Actually, sort of get us in the thing, because obviously, if you've got stiff arms because you're frozen and your hands are absolutely frozen, drumming is quite tricky. You need to be quite warm for that. So
you do. You do get warm quite quickly, though. It has to be said.
Yeah, exactly. Although I must admit, my extremities felt like they were going to be snapped off at any point in time. So that's in answer to your question. No, we weren't busking. That's what that was for. So so I've been doing some magic. I've been doing some fire magic actually, which is really nice. So fire magic down the woods, which has been really nice. And it's been part of a manifestation thing that I've been working on. And I don't want to go into details about that because obviously it's simple, but so it's manifestation magic. So there's something that I'm envisaging as an end product, and it's the means to access this end product that I particularly want. But like we were saying last week, some magic is long-winded and might take, several weeks, months. This one could well take years. So it's still kind of early stages because it will have to literally be done in stages. But so this was actually the fire part was actually the second part. So there had been preparation beforehand, and then there was this sort of burning thing. But then there'll be other parts to it that come up as as different stages of what I want come along. Then obviously there'll be next stages to push it further to the next stage and so on and so forth. So so it's very much a work in progress, this one, but it's quite nice when you get that, because you sort of like see these little bite-sized chunks of like achievability. Yes, that bit is what I wanted. Now the next bit, now I want this, and now I want this. It's for the the grand the grand whole rather than the smaller parts. So so that was that, and that took in itself quite a long time. The first part took a while, and this bit took quite a long time too, several hours in fact. And
you're very clear about what you want, and this is the thing with all magic, isn't it? You've talked about it, you've kind of thought of all the ins and outs and come up with what actually probably will have the least resistance from the universe to actually allow it to happen. You're not trying to like stand and hold back the sides.
Precise. You do have to have that precision. Because if you've got kind of room for maneuver, and then it's kind of, it ends up being a bit wishy-washy if there's something specific you want. By breaking it down into those little bite-sized chunks, it's like, first of all, I need this bit in order to get that bit, which is necessary for that bit, especially as there'll be legalities with stuff too. So yeah, you do have to break it down into little bite-sized chunks. It makes it easier to manifest in the first place because it's only small bits. But of course, it also means that it's easier to be precise because it is little tiny bits too. So that's, it's really useful to go down that route if you've got specific stuff that you really, really need. So yeah, exactly. So so that's all good. And not only that, but I did some magic for a friend, and that seems to be having a bit of a hold as well. Again, that was one of sort of a long-term thing. In fact, two very similar requests came through at a similar time, funnily enough, and they both seem to be manifesting themselves quite nicely too. So it all seems to be ticking over. Yes.
Well, that's brilliant. Do you find when you're doing the manifestation magic that it's very helpful to be able to play, really visualize yourself in the, with
absolutely,
the whole thing having manifested, so that you almost reverse engineering, how do I get there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, this is the end product. So it's like, this is the ultimate goal that I want. This is point Z. So how do I see myself at point Z? So what stages do I need to go through to get to point Z? Well, before Z, I've got to do, J and K, and I've got to do L, and I've got to do A and B, and you have to get them in the right order.
But it is reverse engineering it, isn't it? And saying, well, okay, it could take, sometimes things can take many, many years, but sometimes it can happen a lot faster. Yeah, because the obstacles just aren't as bad as you would, you might have thought. But obviously planning for it to take a long time means you're not then getting impatient if something's not happening, which is also key, is not to get too desperate, if you like, because there's nothing, they always say nothing stinks like desperation. It is that whole thing of, if you get too caught up, it really blocks things from happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Needing it too much.
I find as well that when you're looking at an end goal, I don't find that I have the end goal within a time frame. I have the certain elements of that goal, the whole A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I have them more within a time frame, but the actual end goal, no, that's a bit of a movable feast. So yeah, I tend to be less specific about time for that, and more specific about time for the smaller chunks that take me to that bit too. If I need,
that's important, because it's too big an ask otherwise, isn't it? And it's like goal set. It's kind of like goal setting in the business world. If you kind of have too bigger goals or too remote ones, you're going to be disappointed because you're making it impossible.
It
has to be practical, sensible, achievable. All those things.
Exactly. Yeah, but with the help it's all very cryptic, and the reason that it's cryptic is because I find that if you talk about, I did this for that dilutes it. So you need to kind of keep the secrecy and the keep it cryptic, because if you sort of say, well, actually what I'm after is a number 34 bus so that I can go on holiday, for example. If you do that, then it's kind of let the cat out the bag, and then the magic is literally diluted. So you need to really be able to sort of keep that in, which is why. And obviously, once I get it, I will be announcing, yes, did this 3 years ago and I've got it, or 5 years ago and I've got it, 18 months ago.
Absolutely. But it's the same principle that you don't, when people make a wish on a birthday cake, that you don't tell people what your wish is. It's the same thing, really.
It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, thank you. Yes, it really, really is, isn't it? So, but I do like a bit of fire magic, I must say, especially if it keeps you warm and toasty at the same time.
It's practical, isn't it? Most practical.
Exactly. And it's so nice, when you can sort of see, the elements of your, your workings going up in flame, and you can literally see it burning down and down and down, and breaking down into the little tiny particles that are the flame and the smoke and the gases and the embers and all of that, and you can see it breaking down into those tiny particles. You can sort of, I don't know, it's just something very, very magical about that. I love it, really do. So so it's very, very exciting.
Watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah. I'll get it in 3 weeks, and I'll be going, oh my God, now what? So,
No,
no, that won't happen. But yeah, it's yeah, good stuff, really. All good stuff. So yeah. No, I do. I rather like fire magic. Have you got a particular sort of magic? I'm guessing fire's in your top 3.
Fire is certainly one of the, in a way, it's one of the easiest ones because anyone can find a candle and a means to light it with.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy to do on a very small scale. Yeah, I would say actually fire magic is probably one of the go-tos. It's just, it's very comfortable place to be. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? A lot of people differentiate between fire magic and candle magic, but essentially it's the same thing.
No, I kind of feel it's. I mean, obviously that with what you would do on the candle, and you know how you can use that wax candle for. Yeah, I suppose that's where there are differences, but in the sense of sort of kind of like releasing something, burning something in the flame. Obviously preferable if you can have a roaring fire, but you can't always do that.
No, exactly. That's not
short
notice, is it? Yeah, no, it's not. And your fire alarms might have other ideas about that too.
Yes, I've got a fire. We've got an open fire here, and I kind of need to fire it up because it's been a while since it's been used, and I'm always a little bit nervous when you first set one going, in case I don't know, in case the chimney's blocked or you get some
you just don't have a bird's nest up there or something, do you? It's all...
You shouldn't do really, because I've never seen birds try and nest in that one. The jackdaws actually nest in the unused, which I'm very happy for them to have as theirs. But I wouldn't want them setting up home there.
You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't really toasting them from underneath, would you? No, definitely wouldn't be good.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so the burning question, but Tish, the burn.
She's here all week, you know.
I'm here all week. Oh, sorry, I'll get my coat. No, the burning question is: do you snuff or blow?
Actually, it depends.
Good.
I don't always do. If I want the magic to go out into the universe, I might blow. If it's something that needs to be more contained and I don't want to dissipate anything anyway, then I don't know, snuff.
Snuff. Yes, exactly.
So it's not always. I don't have a golden rule.
Burning down, because obviously you've kind of got the whole. How do you feel about burning right down until there's nothing left?
I have done that. Again, it can be a time factor. It's jolly nice to do it, but you can't leave it unattended. Never leave your flame unattended, people. Because I'd rather not burn my house down. That's not the kind of fire magic I'm after.
No, exactly.
But if I can, and sometimes you can get, like a little candle, even like it's always useful to have a stock of birthday candles, isn't it? Because they really go down ever so quickly.
Yeah.
And yes, I can do it, but I don't always think to do that, to be fair.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, but I'm exactly the same as you. It depends on whether I want to sort of blow it out into the atmosphere or, as you say, contain it. Or sometimes it might be that I don't want, then it might be that I've got something that I'm doing over several parts, over several days or several weeks or whatever. And it's like relight it, stop it, relight it, stop it, in certain...
you mark it and then you...
So again, there might be reasons for that too. So, yeah. And do you pinch or do you put a thing over a snuffer?
It partly depends on the size of the candle. If it's a little one, I can pinch. I'm a bit more nervous about doing it with a great big one.
Depends how long my nails are as to whether I'm prepared to risk them or not.
Yeah, you don't want to melt those. That wouldn't be good.
No, I've surprised my nails before and they smell awful. So...
Oh, man.
You do. And then when they melt, they kind of go all curly and they're just like a corkscrew. So it's not a good look. Seriously, it's not. It's expensive to go and have them put on it.
Yeah. So I mean, I do have snuffers. So if I've got one to hand, then yes, I've got some very nice snuffers. Actually, I quite enjoy them as slightly archaic and modernly useless things. They are brilliant to have when you need to do that.
They are, aren't they? I rather like them. Yeah, there's something rather quaint about them, actually.
They're very quaint.
Do you do much in the way of inscription on candles? Is that something that you enjoy?
Oh yeah. Quite often I'll do some sort of abbreviated language or symbol, something that means something to me. I don't write a whole thing out because who's got the time and spelling, but But yes, I do quite like to be able to write something on the candle and also anoint with, suitable oils and what have you. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's where sigils come in as well, isn't it? You can put sigils on the bottom. And you can even do it in tea light candles, can't you? You can hoik them out and then put little bits on the bottom and then...
Oh, yeah, you can just carve something underneath. If it's not too long, that's, brief.
But sometimes a single word does the trick, doesn't it? It might be that you, I don't know, you might particularly want to manifest somebody taking you out to dinner. So you might just write dinner on there, for example. So, yeah, who knows? But, yeah,
as long as your intention is focused, then yes. Otherwise, you might just end up with the cat's dinner in your lap,
Yeah. Not so appealing.
No, definitely not so appealing. But yeah, I do like sort of being able to write things, and I used to. I do when I get the time, which again, some forms of magic are a little quicker to do, but I do quite like to make talismans and actually draw it all out. I quite like to do that as well because it focuses your attention.
It really does. Yeah, it really, really does. Yeah.
I've had quite good success with that.
Talisman, I often put salt over it, and then kind of like arrange the salt over what it is that I've just created. So I'd make the same shape of the creation in salt on the top, because that really focuses what you're doing, and it makes it really good, clean energy. It's hard, and you sort of obviously it depends on how big a thing you've done and how fiddly it is, but I do it with like a cocktail stick or end of a pen or something like that. Literally just pour it over, and then sort of push the salt into the same sort of shape, because it kind of then literally purifies the salt, and it does. It cleanses it, it seals it, but it also means that you have to really consciously concentrate on what it is you're doing in order to make the same shape over, and you have to have in your mind what it looks like because it's covered in salt.
Yes,
and then you're moving it all around. So and it does. It takes time. It's worth that extra 20 minutes, half an hour that it might take you. It's worth it because you get really good results with it. So, yeah. So what I tend to do anyway. But I remember somebody complaining bitterly that I made her do that, and she said, "Oh, it's taking a really long time." And it's like, do you really want what you want? Yeah. Well, hello.
Yes. Yes. Everything isn't instant.
Exactly.
And it's
you get used to the instant society, don't you? It's like, sort of phoning up Deliveroo, it's not quite the same thing, is it? Deliveroo or whatever else it might be. It's just, it's worth it. You've got to put the energy in, haven't you? Rather than having it delivered to you on a plate. So
sometimes things can happen very quickly and with, without having to go through a lot of rigmarole, but it just depends, you have to be prepared to put the effort in, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh. This is a really, really good thing. I'm going to put that up
here.
That's
a good one.
And if you can't find the colour of a candle of a perfect colour, all right, the colour on the candle is needs must sometimes. Now, I don't do that. And the reason that I don't do that is that I've usually got a stock of white candles, and of course white candles are white and black, of course, are a collection of all the colours put together, aren't they? So so I will tell it what colour it might be, or tell it what it's, charge it with whatever my intention is. So I want you to be today a blue candle, you are this, or you are being dealt with communication, for example, or something like that, and I'll tell it what I want it to do. But I don't actually write the colour on the candle. But that's a good idea.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I write different things on the candle, but exactly. Yeah, that's a really good way of doing it. So
I usually write the outcome of what I'm actually looking for on the candle itself, but or mark the times if I need it to be, to burn down a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Different ways of doing the same thing.
I love that. I love the fact that, with anything to do with the craft, there's literally 1,000 different ways to do a similar thing, and each one pretty much as valid as the next one. Some might be more efficient, some might be more proficient, but the bottom line is that there is no one absolute way to do anything, and I like that. That works for me, because sometimes somebody might ask me, two people might ask me to do exactly the same thing, actually, that happened very recently. That I had 2 people ask me to do stuff to help them find employment.
Oh, yes.
And entirely different approaches for both of them. Entirely different.
Yeah, it makes sense because
you
everybody's
tailor it to
different.
the person themselves. You know, you absolutely tailor it to the person, to the individual. You know, and they were 2 utterly, totally different things that were done. So, yeah, absolutely. And I like that. You know, it's like, you know, not just burn a candle, give this person a job. Yeah, you could do that. But, you know, if it's worth bothering with, and it's, you know, and you're, you know, of a mind to tailor it to the person, and that's really what you should be doing, then yeah, absolutely tailor it to the person, find out what they like, find out, you know, what's suitable for them and what resonates with them, because that will work far better. And same for yourself, you know. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, that's true across all kinds of areas, really, isn't it? I mean, there isn't really a one size fits all. It's the energy of the person. There's where you're at. There's what the universe seems to be telling you, what feels like the right thing, and sometimes just pure inspiration, really.
Absolutely, yeah. And sometimes you do have this sort of light bulb moment. Do you know what? That is perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be something you've never tried before, but you just know that it's the perfect thing for that particular person. So yeah, definitely. Yes. So we have Yule fast approaching, do we not?
Well, yes, I suddenly realised it was the 1st of December today. I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
Welcome to the real world, Heather.
Yeah. Well, I spent so long in November trying to avoid it, because it's like, it's not December yet. Stop going on about Christmas. We've only just had, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
then
so
suddenly, gosh, here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, actually, I better get my thinking cap on. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Are you doing anything on the solstice itself? It's the 21st this year. Actually, on the 21st.
Yeah, it is actually, isn't it? Which is unusual, because often it's
usually it sort of twiddles about, doesn't it? But yeah, it's actually on the 21st this year.
Yes.
Are you coming to my party?
Am I coming to your party? I'd very much like to.
Well, bloody well come then. Bring him indoors. Bring him indoors. That would be nice.
But then I've got an Alex. I've got 2 indoorsies. That's the problem.
2 him indoorsies. Yeah, we'll bring both of them. So no, we're having a Yule party. As you obviously, we've got the moot. For anybody that's interested, if you have a look on the Facebook page, which is the Witchin, I can put a link to it. There is a party on the 21st. It's free. We'll be having a small ritual and a bit of jollity going on. So yes, if you're interested, then you're more than welcome to come along. It's in Surrey, in the UK, and it's on the 21st. But as I say, if you are interested, then please have a look on my Facebook page, which is The Witchin. But that will be really nice. So the reason that I'm doing it actually is my friend that I did a thing with years ago, and I did a Nix night, because obviously you know, it's the longest night of the year and so on, and she asked me to do it again. You know, can we have another Nix night? And it's like, well, yeah, why not? So, you know, the Yule thing stroke, you know, celebrating Nix, and of course she gets rather overlooked, I think, which is rather sad. I think she's amazing, Nix, goddess Nix. So yeah, you know, so there'll be a bit of a dedication going on to her before the jollities. So yeah, that'd be rather nice. Yeah, rather nice really to have a Yule party. We've had a Yule party for ages.
Well, yeah, we've rather missed out, haven't we, lately?
Yeah, well, yeah, everyone's missed out on everything really. So yeah. Snuffing candles. Hang on a minute. Oh, hang on. So Hans says, just back to snuffing candles. I had one teacher who didn't like pinch snuffing or blowing, and only done by your own energy and using your hand, and your energy was also more involved and part of it, if that makes sense. That sounds jolly painful.
So you had to do you had just sort of like that?
Presumably. Yeah, presumably it was that whole put it out that way.
Yeah, interesting. Although, yeah.
or just sort of waft at it. Or if you get really excited with two hands like that.
Waft at it heavily.
Yeah, I remember doing that to a cauldron that was on fire once in my friend's flat. Didn't work at all.
No, I could see that having quite the opposite effect.
Yeah, exactly. That was
interesting times.
Yeah, exactly. It was very interesting times, and that necessitated a very large, very damp towel.
Thank you, Hans. I think we know where you're coming from there.
Oh dear. Yes. So yeah, that wasn't so good. That was, yeah, definitely. But yeah. Otherwise, it's all a little bit karate chop, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Bruce Lee. Yeah.
Oh God.
Exactly. Yeah. And not if you've got long hair.
Yeah, well, that's the other danger, isn't it? As we all know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I regularly singe bits off mine.
No, yeah.
It's to be a thing. You suddenly get this dreadful smell, don't you? Like, oh God, not again.
No, that's the cringe again. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It used to be quite a regular thing, especially in the 80s for me. It was like, long hair and an awful lot of hairspray. Like it's quite stand up here and out here and everything else. And every time I lit up a cigarette, it'd be like, oh, put it all out again.
Well, that was it. Yeah, back in the days when I used to smoke.
Some queer, peculiar new romantic dance. It was like this, but actually it was like just putting out the hair.
Just putting it out.
Yeah. I think that's where the goth dance came from, actually.
Quite possibly.
Think about it. It's like, yeah. You've seen that thing that does the internet from time to time, and it's video.
The goth dances.
It's video footage of bats that would normally be hanging from a roof and then just like hanging around, moving slightly, but they've actually reversed it, so it looks like they're standing and they're also so just moving around like that.
I've seen that one. It's very, very cute.
It's brilliant. I can watch that till the cows come home.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah, it tickles me every time. Yeah, it's like, I remember doing that in the back cave in London. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, it takes you back a bit, doesn't it? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I've got a question for you. When you're doing magic, do you prefer to be in silence or with music on? Which do you find most beneficial? Because some people are very much in the camp of they like to have mood music or background music or music to get them in the mood, and some people like utter silence and so on.
More by just default and not having the wherewithal. I tend to work without. But I'm also very aware that music can be incredibly magical, especially for raising energy and, playing with energy and stuff like that. And I love music for that. But generally when I'm working, I don't require music.
I find that music itself, if it's done by somebody else and it's pre-recorded, sort of in CD format or whatever the young folk use these days. Really not. Oh, darling. Yes, or the old 78. Yeah, if it's been pre-recorded, I actually find that really distracting, and I don't find it helpful to get me into the headspace that I need to be in at all. Yes. So if you're making your own music, whether it's drumming or whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's singing bowls or whatever, that's different because you're using that, and you're using your own energy to make the music and get yourself into the headspace. But there's some people that really seem to benefit from pre-recorded mood music or whatever, and they do seem to genuinely benefit from that, but it doesn't work for me at all. I wondered whether it was the same for you.
I've never been one for a lot of the pre-recorded. I've had one or two of the CDs over the years and thought, but I'll always find myself kind of getting caught up and go, well, I wasn't taught to sing it like that. That tune's different. Oh, that's very odd. I'm not sure I like that. And that's the problem. If you're making your own stuff, you're in it. Whereas if you're just receiving it, no. Again, no,
Even the stuff
definitely
you're
not
familiar with. Yeah, no, I do. I find it really distracting. And it's interesting because everyone has a different take on that.
Oh, yeah.
I do. You know, sometimes you'll be in ritual, won't you? And they have like mood music going, and you know, different covens have different ideas about it. And you know, open rituals, some people have music and that going, and it's like, well, okay, okay. I'm not criticising. It just isn't for me.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for me personally.
Yeah,
I think if it helps people get there, then yeah, fair enough. I find if the best things are things like having a really decent incense that will transport me.
Oh yes,
good incense. It's like
yeah, absolutely, yeah, definitely. That's amazing. Actually, if you get the right scents and the right oils and all the rest of it going, it's amazing, isn't it? And you just get that atmosphere. And that
it goes straight to that deep unconscious part of the mind.
Yeah.
It really is a fast track. Scent is, that's why it's so important to us. So yeah, that far more. Music tends to be more about personal taste and emotional associations you make with it. And I'm not sure that's necessarily, for me personally, appropriate when I'm trying to work some magic where I don't want my emotions in it. I want what's meant to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's interesting, isn't it? And obviously there's, some people that aren't able to use incense in its natural form, and they have to use scents and aromas in different ways because of breathing difficulties or because of
fire alarms
and other restrictions that they might have at home, which is fair enough. But it is amazing how scent literally transports you into different time frames and different places entirely, doesn't it? Different places in your mind, different places in time. Yeah, I think it's
completely magical, just as an element, as a means. Yeah, totally.
And I think from that point of view, I think it's probably one of the most magical senses, really, because you do literally get transported in a split second. Sometimes you can have a smell of something and instantly you're transported to your grandmother's house, or sort of a certain, I don't know, particular day on a picnic when you were 12 or whatever. And you literally are put straight back there. Oh, it's fantastic.
Absolutely, because it's not a conscious thing.
No, exactly. And
it sneaks around the back. It kind of gets around the conscious thinking brain, because scent is so much more a basic, primitive sense that we have, I think.
Yeah. I mean, obviously for most of us, it's not particularly well developed, is it? Not compared to dogs and other animals and stuff. And we sort of fall short somewhat, don't we? But
I think you can train yourself to acquire, to notice and have awareness. We tend to rely so much on vision, and to use the other senses, to actually practice using the other senses so that you get more balance is such a good thing. Being aware of, touch, being aware of, how of taste and smell, and all of those things that you just don't pay. A lot of people do things on autopilot and they don't notice.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's quite important to stop and think. I was coming back in my house, loaded down bunch of shopping, as it were. I've been to Aldi's. Other supermarkets are available, and I came back and I just got near the front door and I could just really smell the earth. There was that real damp, autumny, wintry smell. I thought, oh yes, we really are in it now. It takes you there. It's so
Yeah, definitely. What's Chris say? Hi, Chris. Hello. I used smells with my mother, who had dementia. Even when she was in an almost non-verbal state, she would visibly relax if she smelled some smells. Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as Heather said, it's that basal thing, isn't it? Just takes you back to a different time or a different place, and those memories. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think they say it connects to, is it the limbic system or the hippocampus or something like that? But it's a very, very basic, deep part of the brain that it goes to. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, it is interesting, and you just get taken in instantly to a certain place. There's a certain smell that I get from time to time, and it smells like my grandmother's hallway. Not anywhere else, specifically my grandmother's hallway. And I couldn't tell you what it smells like. I couldn't possibly begin to describe the smell. But every now and again, I'll get it. And I'm like, oh, Granny.
Yeah.
Instant. It's her hall. You know, it's not anywhere else. It's specifically. And I can just instantly, I'm transported to being like 8 years old, standing outside her front door. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. It's that powerful.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's, don't sort of think about it. You just transport it. It's literally a time machine. It's just crazy, really. But yeah. And then of course you get various scents and so on. My mum used to hate oh God, what was the name of that perfume? Poison. Very verbally hated Poison. She did. Didn't mince her words about it either. If somebody happened to pass her by wearing it, rather rude, in fact.
Well, it did get to a point where everybody seemed to be wearing it, and I think opium was another one that was.
Oh yeah, that one as well. Yeah, she didn't.
Used to drown herself in that.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
no, she didn't like that one either. Very vocal.
Yeah, they're not ones I'm fond of, but I do have a thing about perfumes. I love. I really get very interested in different scents and that, and but those were so distinctive that they kind of had one level. It was a full-on assault with the nose from the very first poof of it. Yeah, and it never changed all the way. It just faded. It didn't do what a really good perfume should do, which is to change and be complex and interesting as it over time.
Exactly, yeah. It just kind of like smacked you in the nose, gave you a nosebleed and left.
Pretty much, yeah. And yet there were some fragrances I'd want to follow someone down the street.
Oh, I've done that. I've literally had somebody walk past me with something on, and I've done a U-turn and walked and followed. I've literally done that. Literally.
And when I was younger and a bit more sort of sure. Yeah, when I used to be able to sort of, I could tell somebody what perfume they were wearing. I knew, right, she's wearing Rive Gauche. Or,
yeah. I remember it was one New Year. I must have been about 18 or 19, I think. And I was getting ready to go out for the evening with a friend. And so we were getting ready at her house. We were only going to the pub. It was a fancy dress party at the pub. And I suddenly realised that I'd left my perfume behind. So she squirted herself with a Nay. And I said, oh, that smells really nice. And she went, oh, it is nice, isn't it? And squirted me with it. Unfortunately, I had a chemical reaction with an A&A, and no matter how much I washed, it wouldn't come off, and it smelled like cat's pee.
that's not what you want to be wearing
until about the 5th of January. It was absolutely dreadful. And I was back at work and everything by that time. Oh God, everyone was like, what is that? Oh, it's me. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, it's me. And they're thinking, oh, was she all
right? I'm sorry, it's me. Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that wasn't ideal really. So yeah. Oh dear. So what we got here? We've got a few people making comments. Just a minimo.
Oh, about training your sense of smell.
Where are we? Amazing book by Robert Moss that trains you to use your different senses and to heighten them. Can't think right now. We'll put it in a link later. Brilliant book. Oh yeah, thank you very much. And then Chris says, yes, there's indefinable smells that take us right back, but we could probably never explain all the elements. Yes, it's fascinating. And you can do it with different, hang on a minute. And you can do it with different sides of the body. Do what with different sides of the body? Even to moving multi-arms and legs right side. No, lost me, Hans, I'm afraid. Sorry, can you explain, please? No, I don't know. I don't know. You're going to have to explain that one. Sorry about that.
Yes, I've got a picture of this kind of human windmill, and that's not helpful.
No, not really. One of the things that I find really quite interesting, because I'm as you know, I'm a trained aromatherapist, and one of the things that I find quite interesting when it comes to aromatherapy is that a lot of people think that something has to smell amazing in order to be beneficial, and of course that's not the case. And I find that really quite interesting. Yes, you want something that's not going to smell of cat's pee,
ideally, yes.
But nevertheless, sometimes, if you're using, oils in an oil burner, for example, and you have a particular reason for wanting to use certain oils in an oil burner because, I don't know, there's coughs and colds in the house, for example, you might use tea tree or black pepper oil or things like that, and they don't smell all that great. And yeah, you can kind of fan them up a bit with other added elements and trying to like take the edge off. But sometimes it's not about the smell, and it's about the properties of things, even though they happen to have a smell. And I think that's worth pointing out as well. It's not always about the smell in those sort of situations. So
no, it's a little bit like medicine. Doesn't always taste wonderful, but if it does the job.
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple of medicines that I could name that taste absolutely revolting. God. It's like, is it worse to have the bad chest or to have a mouthful of that? I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, what we got here? Pom tiddly. Tomato juice. Perfumes do funny things on my skin, apart from me sometimes being allergic to them. Tomato juice. Oh, what, to get the smells off? Ah, gotcha. Tomato juice. I'd read removes skunk smell. It seems to take weird smells off my skin. Messy but effective. Yeah. Wish I'd known that in 1989. Or 87 or whenever it was, yeah. Because I stank to high heaven. I absolutely did.
I must admit, the whole thing about aromatherapy oils, and I was going to train to be an aromatherapist, completely independent of Becky, obviously, many years ago. And I'd done a massage course and really embraced that and loved it. Started to do an aromatherapy course, and I had such a reaction because the oils are so strong that they literally blew me away, because they're on your hands. Yeah. And that is, for me, that is actually where a lot of my that's quite an open place. So
magic hands,
oh dear, oh God. I mean, I actually about 3 days in,
you were away with the fairies
to do this, and I don't even have aromatherapy as a massage. If I ever have a massage, I don't have any oils on my skin. I don't mind them burning a bit, having a bit in an oil burner, but it's just too much.
You can shut
yourself
down from it, but you have to get yourself into a good magical space first. But you can shut yourself down from it, but you do have to sometimes. Absolutely.
Well, this was before I kind of did any actual study of craft and things. In fact, it was very close to when I started, because I knew something was up.
Exactly. What's going on there?
What's going on there? That's weird.
So Hans says the above with all the senses and in multi, as in like 6 arms, 6 legs, and ushering the senses. Got you. In each arm and leg. Right. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. So yes, sort of in and out and so on and so forth. Yeah. Cool. Well, there we are. So on that stinky note, Mrs. Stinky note. I suppose we ought to be thinking about winding things up, really. What are you doing?
Fire engines and things going past the end of the road. I'm thinking, all I can see is the flashing lights. I'm thinking,
are you twitching your curtains? Are you?
Well, no, the curtains are open. I'm sat in front of the windows. Blatant nosy neighbour.
I'm going to get you some rollers for your hair. That's what I'm going to do.
Wear
them. Yes, you. You can be as nosy as you like, but you have to wear rollers. Ouch. Oh dear. Anyway, we will see everybody next week. Thank you for joining us all. What do we need to put a link up for this week? I've forgotten. What did I say that we'd put a link up for? I've forgotten.
The Witches in? No.
Oh yes. The party. So yes, absolutely. So if you would like to come, then yes, please, you may come to the party. But obviously, you need to let us know and find out all the details by having a look on a Facebook page. So yes, I will put the link up for that at some point. So meanwhile, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for joining in, and we'll have a chat with you all next week. So thank you, and we'll see you soon. Keep warm. Bye. Bye.
Keep waving,
Heather. Keep waving, Heather.